What's up, y'all? Straight to the point. Y'all be sure to hit that like button. Make sure you sub to the channel if you're not a member. And be sure to hit those notification bells so that you're able to get all of my content and all of my videos. Salute to the whole entire LDBC, basketball and boxing. Brown sugar, the lovely, beautiful brown sugar, the bodacious brown sugar is in the building. How you doing tonight, beautiful? Hope everybody feeling all right. Late night. Look, I know we got NBA going on, and it's cold ASF. Cold as hell. Hope you all right. And I'm definitely gonna need your opinion and your expertise on this one, brown sugar. You said, "Oh Lord, here we go." Ooh, you better stop, girl. All right, let's let's talk about the Bucks right now. I was gonna talk about the Sixers first, but I think I'll change it up. Talking about the Bucks now. Here's what's wrong with the Bucks, man. Here's what's wrong with the Bucks. First off, their first situation, and I was gonna talk about this earlier, but I took it down because a couple people said that they couldn't hear me. I know Brown Sugar was saying I was going in and out, but I want to make sure that y'all could hear me clear, not any interruptions, any of that nonsense that's going on. Now, what happened with the Bucks is the first thing that happened was them getting rid of Drew Holiday. Of course, he went to the Celtics. I know Brown Sugar, she was very happy about that, being that she's a Celtics fan, and then ultimately Drew Holiday was able to help the Celtics capture uh, another championship. A lot of people they put the blame on Giannis because Giannis, of course, he got mad at Drew Holiday um, for the way that he played, and competed in the playoffs or whatnot, and um, you know, everybody uh, felt like it was on Giannis because he didn't, stick up for Drew Holiday, and a lot of people felt like he wanted to go ahead and just get rid of him because of anger and all that other stuff or whatever. That was one reason. Okay. Them getting rid of Mike Budenholzer. Now, look, I wasn't a big Mike Budenholzer fan. Um, did he do some okay things? Yeah, but did I think that he was on like a top tier coach? In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. He benefited off of that team that he had. Okay, he benefited off of a superstar in Giannis. You know what I'm saying? He benefited off of really valuable role players. When you talk about Drew Holiday, when you talk about Bobby Portis, Chris Middleton, who to me is he's above a a role player. You know what I'm saying? But not quite a superstar, but just a really good player, Middleton at times. Because, and I often say that about Chris Middleton because at one point Chris Middleton had led the league in defensive win shares, but nobody talks about that. And that was that year that they won the championship. That's why I defended Chris Middleton. He was an excellent defender. What's up, Angelo? Hope you're doing all right tonight, man. We start basketball in January, just to let you know, Angelo. I don't know how long you're gonna kick it here, but anyways, um, hold on. Now, the thing about it is, man, with the Bucks, they also got rid of of course they got rid of Budenholzer, then they brought in Adrian Griffin. Now, here's where I took a turn for the worse. Now, I happen to like Adrian went to the table. People had to realize that when Adrian Griffin was there, when he had got fired, when he had got removed by the organization, Adrian Griffin was 30 and 13. Okay, he had a 69 point 0.8 or 0.698 win percentage. Was doing an excellent job, but for some odd reason, the players were not buying in to Adrian Griffin, his style of coaching, which is hard to believe. But all he was really doing was challenging the players. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, they were between 1 and 3 at that point in time. I'm talking about in terms of in the Eastern Conference. But then they ended up because of the players and how they felt and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? They went ahead and they got rid of Adrian Griffin. Which I felt like was really a dumbass move. And another thing that I want to point out too, Giannis during that time when he was playing under Adrian Griffin, I want you to listen to me and listen to me good. At that time, when Adrian Griffin was coaching, when Giannis was playing, Giannis was actually playing some of his best basketball because Giannis was averaging roughly 31, 32 points per game. He was averaging 12 or 13 rebounds, um, maybe about 4 assists. And also, what I need to point out, he had a 60-point game. He had a 64 and 14 game against the Pacers. Both of his best games came against the Pacers. I think he had like 64 and 14 against the Pacers. Then he had 54. You can go look it up. He was a monster with Adrian Griffin. I mean, he was putting up outstanding numbers. But they went ahead. He got rid of Adrian Griffin. Now another thing is they brought in Dame Lillard. Okay, now this right here was a disaster waiting to happen, and I know a lot of people were wanting this thing to work out. A lot of people were saying Dame he's gonna have a champion. He's gonna bring a championship there and all this other stuff. And I kept saying, Dame Lillard doesn't know how to play defense. Okay, he can't guard the pick and roll, and he plays too much hero ball. It's not gonna add up. And people thought that I was talking down on Dame. I wasn't talking down on Dame. I was just stating the facts. He's not gonna play winning championship type of basketball. Dame is from a talent perspective, he he's great. Now I don't think he should be in top 75 or anything like that. But you know, Dame Lillard is not going to get you over the hump. He's not a replacement for a Drew Holiday. He's just not. He doesn't bring what Drew Holiday brought to the table. Drew Holiday actually knows how to win. Okay, does he has Drew Holiday carried before? No, but Dame Lillard hasn't brought Portland Trailblazers anywhere. So bringing Dame over there was an accident waiting to happen. He had got, of course, he got hurt, and then also what we had to take into account is that he wasn't meshing well with Giannis. He was percentages, man, just awful basketball for Dame. Plus the personal side of things, which was affecting him too. So that's another reason. Um, Doc Rivers gets some of the blame too. Um, Doc gets some of the blame. Doc. I don't think, in my opinion, that anybody's buying into what Doc is selling, especially right now. Now that they're because the Bucks right now are 9-13, if I'm not mistaken. Nobody's buying into what Doc is selling. Okay, and as a coach, they have to buy into what you're selling. If you can't captivate your players and really get them to buy in, and you've pretty much lost the locker room. You pretty much have lost the locker room. And I think that that's what's happened. Plus, you got to take into account another thing is now Two Raw. Shout out to Two Raw for TV. He brought up something that was a valuable point. I don't want to take credit for this point, but it was something that I had looked because I'm a Giannis fan, and he's my next best player besides Russell Westbrook, who's on his way out in the game right now. But the thing about it is, when Giannis hyperextended his knee, okay, when he hyperextended his knee, I was very concerned about that. I'll be honest with you. I thought Giannis was going to be out way longer. As a matter of fact, I didn't even think that he was going to be able to, return again. If you had looked at what happened and how it happened, and the fact that he got up and was still wanting to get out here, his brother was trying to hold him back to tell him, no, what are you doing? That's how much passion. That's why I like Giannis so much because he wanted to play. But on the flip side, like Raw was saying, we got to face the facts. It's kind of been bothering him. He's been having issues here and there. Now you see, Giannis is out again, um, dealing with injuries and stuff like that. And they were supposed to bring in guys, we're gonna benefit Giannis, and now and it's like Giannis is being overused. I mean, I hate to say it, Giannis is being overused. People want to talk about like how Steph Curry and Curry is overusing him. Well, Giannis is being ran to the ground himself. You say Greek should be better than what he is. Um, I disagree, Angelo. Uh, Giannis is phenomenal already. I mean, he's pretty much doing everything, and he's carrying the team. He was at a MVP level at one point this season. He was at a number four MVP level. But I mean, when you got guys, that you know are not, um, how can I say it? You got young guys on the team that's supposed to be young, but they're not playing up to the capacity that they did when they had that championship team. They didn't have a Drew Holiday, like I was saying. They didn't have, you know what I'm saying, some of those other guys that were on there. I mean, you still got Bobby Portis and stuff. But Giannis, you're talking about, a multiple time MVP winner, regular season MVP winner. You're talking about a two-time defensive player of the year award winner. You're talking about a guy that has a ring, and on top of that, you're talking about a guy that won defensive player and MVP in the same season. One in which only several guys were able to do that, which is Michael Jordan, David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Nobody else has been able to do that. Now, Wemby might be able to do that, but Giannis is a beast. Not to mention he has a Finals MVP too. So if you put all that, but people want to talk about Jokic and what Jokic is doing. Well, let's no, don't forget about Giannis. Plus, Giannis has more to his resume too when you throw in the Defensive Player of the Year because he plays both ends of the floor. So Giannis is phenomenal. Come on, come on, shit, take all that to turn. But um, yeah, I mean Giannis is phenomenal. But you know when you're being ran to the ground, it's not going to help. And now you're seeing what's going on, Angelo. You see what's happening. This guy. I don't want Giannis to end up like Zion and like Kawhi and like Joel Embiid and stuff like that. That's not in Giannis's. That's not what Giannis does. I've I've defended Giannis so much, man. A lot of people wonder why I defend Giannis. Well, the reason is because this guy plays with heart. He plays with passion. He plays with grit. You know what I'm saying? He plays a style with reckless abandon. You know what I'm saying? And I don't care if he doesn't have a shot. You know what I'm saying? And all this other stuff. At least he tried to work on it. It's just like some people are just never gonna be really good shooters. You know what I'm saying? That's just a fact. Shaq always tried to shoot great. It never worked out for him. You know what I'm saying? Giannis ain't the only one. But that's kind of what went down with the Bucks, man, and what's going down with them because they it's been a handful of different things. And I was inspired to talk about this because I know. Shout out to 78. Shout out to the general man, 78. 78 Sports TV. Head nigga in charge when it comes to this LDBC thing. But I was inspired to do this because I'm not a Bucks fan, but I'm a Giannis fan. I'm a huge Giannis fan. You know what I'm saying? But I appreciate a small market team. You know what I'm saying? That's why I appreciate OKC and what they're doing right now. You know what I'm saying? If you notice, OKC, they're not about no drama. You don't hear a whole bunch of stuff going on with them and all this other stuff. No, they just quiet. They quietly winning. You know what I'm saying? And that's what you're supposed to do, especially as an NBA champion. The San Antonio Spurs, they were able to do that. They were quietly getting it done. Next thing you know, they in the Western Conference Finals. Then next thing you know, they in the finals and stuff. They're like, man, you know, we didn't even know that the Spurs were in here. We didn't even know that they were here. You know why? They quietly getting it done. They don't have no drama. They don't have no in-house fighting and all this other stuff. Nah, they just quietly getting it done. Plus, they got camaraderie and chemistry too. You know what I'm saying? Which is something that the Bucks really don't have. They relying on one damn guy. You know what I'm saying? You brought guys in there. You brought you know Cole Anthony with the hopes of him being able to run an offense. He has shown the inability to do that. You brought Kyle Kuzma in there with the hopes that his championship pedigree would spill over. That hasn't happened. Kevin Porter Jr. He ended up getting hurt, and he was just starting to take over. You know what I'm saying? Starting to do his thing and stuff, but he ended up getting hurt. And that was a big blow to him. So just everything going wrong. But I do think it's time for Giannis to go ahead and go. Before everybody was like, nah, stay there, man, 10 toes down, get it out the mud, all that other stuff or whatever. But Giannis want to win just like everybody else. It's not like he was hopping from team to team to team and all this other stuff and doing it. Nah, I mean, hell, go to another team or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think he'll be second fiddle when he goes to another team either. So um, for the Bucks, man, it's a sad situation. Did Giannis have play some of the part in it? Does it blame some of the blame rely on Giannis? Yes, as a leader, you do have to take some sort of the blame, but like I said, it ain't all of the majority of Giannis's fault. Matter of fact, it's a small percentage of his fault. But part of that, that Drew Holiday situation to me, that was that was a devastating blow to me. That was one of the biggest blows, getting rid of Drew Holiday. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a key role player that you needed. You know what I'm saying? Especially when they were winning that championship. I mean, my goodness, this guy was locking up everybody. I mean, the way that this guy was locking up Kyrie when he played with Boston, in the finals. You know what I'm saying? It's just things like that you look at and you're like, you need a guy like that in order to, win a championship. um, Now let me talk about Zion for a second. Shout out to the brother True Raw for TV. I also saw him talking about Zion Williamson today. Um, Zion Williamson has a right adductor injury, and he's going to be out for 3 weeks. He's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks, but essentially he's going to be out 3 weeks. This is what I'm gonna say about Zion, man. Zion, he is who we think he is. You know what I'm saying? Who a lot of people didn't project him to be this way, but we should have saw this early, man, when his foot came out of his shoe in college. What you were what you were getting yourself into. And, a lot of people got to realize that, he was getting hurt in college too. Okay, this wasn't just in the NBA, he was getting hurt in college too. All right. Then he came into the NBA, yeah, he's exciting when he plays. It's just like, AD right now. We got to hope that AD doesn't get hurt again because, and I'm going to get to them in just a second. Zion is going in the direction of being a Jamal Mashburn, so to speak. The only difference with Jamal Mashburn, and I give Jamal Mashburn props, Jamal Mashburn actually, he played and he kept going. Yeah, I agree with you 100%, Angelo. I agree with you 100%. He's not it. Okay, yeah, you come out there, dunking, powerful stuff like that, but your inability to stay healthy is a detriment to the New Orleans Pelicans, and he doesn't understand that. Y'all are last in the Western Conference. I think they're at 3-18 or something like that. Yeah, I think they're 3-18. Just horrendous. Then on top of that, you got Willie Green fired. Like, what does that say about you? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, let's just call it what it is. That was savage at of the highest order. And we all know that Willie Green didn't deserve to be fired like that. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't his fault. It's not Willie Green's fault that you can't stay healthy. It's not Willie Green's fault that DeJounte Murray can't stay healthy. It's not Willie Green's fault that Jordan Poole can't stay healthy. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jordan Poole is hurt too. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's out too. You got all these guys on there that are hurt. He doesn't have no control over these guys being hurt. Now, look, does he got to go out there and coach? Yeah, but you're not giving this guy nothing to work with. You know what I'm saying in terms of his personnel. When your superstar is constantly hurt, okay, and they see Zion Williamson as a superstar, but he doesn't have a superstar mindset. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're always sitting. You're doing more sitting than you are playing. You know what I'm saying? These people come out to see you play. These kids want to see you do a high flying dunk. You know what I'm saying? The team wants you to carry them forward. You know what I'm saying? Not just in the play in, but they actually want to go somewhere and get in the playoffs. The fans are desperate for the New Orleans Pelicans to at least even get close to a Western Conference Finals. And Zion, you were brought there to do that, but you have not been able to do that. I mean, you got all these injuries. Then on top of that, you told everybody, you made all these posts on social media, stuff like that. That's why I don't take a lot of things seriously on social media because, oh man, Zion trimming down, and oh, Zion done lost all this weight. Oh man, he's cut up, he's chiseled and stuff like that. I said, look, let's just see how this plays out because you could come out there and you could be chiseled and all this other stuff, and then next thing you know, you still can't stay healthy. Well, that was the reason why you lost all that weight, so you could remain healthy. You know what I'm saying? So you could stay on the floor, so that it could take some stress off of your lower extremities. But unfortunately, it's done reverse. Now you out for 3 more weeks. You just came. You were already been out. You were already out for like two weeks or something. You came back again, and then it's just like, man, it's a roller coaster with you. I'm at the point now where y'all might think I'm crazy for saying this, but I think right now he should just go ahead and pack it up. If that's the one thing that I respect about the the older generation of stuff. You know what I'm saying? If they knew that they couldn't do it no more, like Brandon Roy. Brandon Roy knew, okay, look, I cannot sit here and continue to play subpar or be a detriment to the team and all that other stuff. No. He said, look, I'm just going to go ahead. This condition ain't never going to get better. I'm never going to benefit a team. I can't play the way that I want to. Just go ahead and call it quit. Call it retirement. We know what you would have been. Same thing with Greg Oden. You know what I'm saying? He was like, look, I can't do it anymore. I stay hurt, stuff like that. Zion is the same thing, but instead you sitting there and you stealing money. It's the same thing with Joel Embiid. I got Joel Embiid in the title too. He missed the game against the Wizards tonight. You came back, you played against you played against the Hawks, but then you sit up there and you want to play against the. I'm not happy about beating no Wizards. I'm not happy about that. You know what I'm saying? We've only beaten one team who we felt like could be a threat, and that was the Toronto Raptors. But they beat our ass the second time when we played them. You understand what I mean? Like it's just do the organization a favor and just say, hey, look, I can't do this anymore. I'm not gonna get any better. But I don't know what you're sticking around for. Look, LeBron, and I don't mean to bring him up again. I know we're not talking about LeBron, but I had to bring this up. I don't like the tacky shit that LeBron did yesterday. I don't. I don't like him out there chopping it up with the Suns bench and all that other stuff and not looking disengaged. But LeBron is at least out there and at least he's running around and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't like what he did. But hey, he's out there. Zion, you haven't been out there. Kawhi, you know what I'm saying? You're not the same. You liable to sit down again. You know what I'm saying? Joel Embiid, not you can't stay on there. You can never give 100% like when you want to because you stay sitting down all the time. We gotta hope if AD don't get hurt again. It's the same people all the time with issues, man. And see with Zion, I'm at the point now like they might as well just go ahead and try to get rid of the dude, depending on the contract, because he like I said, he did sign a contract with them. So we got to see how that works. But then you taking on that contract, and on top of that, you got to take on that injury liability. You know what I'm saying? And guys don't want that. These execs don't want that. You know, it makes you appreciate a guy like Shea Gilchrist Alexander. And I'm thinking to myself, how come Shea Gilchrist Alexander seems to be getting it done? He's short-handed. They won a championship. They went the longest in terms of the title run last year, them in Indiana. But he's coming back doing the same thing, even better this year. While they 20-1. Like why? Like I'm just trying to understand that. You know what I'm saying? But everybody else, you turn around, they hurt. They got this issue. They got that issue. I'm like, SGA should be the one. Hell, I'm gonna be like this. If SGA said, "Hey, I want to take a couple games off," SGA deserved to get a day or two off. The way that dude been balling, he deserved to get a day off. I wouldn't even get mad if he got a day off because he's been carrying the load. I mean, he carried the load with when J Dub wasn't there. He carried the load when Chet Hogan wasn't there. I wouldn't get mad at SGA. You know why? Because he playing every game. He done played every game of this season so far, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody fact check me. If I'm wrong, just let me know. But he has played every game in this season. But there's no excuses. Nobody's talking about him. Nobody's talking about his greatness. Hell, you got to find the records that he's setting and stuff like that in terms of the 40-point games and 30-point games and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You got to look for that shit. You know what I'm saying? Or they casually do that. But if it was somebody else or like LeBron or somebody else or something like that, oh, it's gonna be national. It's gonna be history. It's gonna be all this other stuff. Nah. As a matter of fact, they make more of a mockery about what LeBron is doing in terms of the disgusting stuff that he does than to be talking about Shea Gilchrist Alexander, who is on the verge of eclipsing the Golden State Warriors record. I still got a bet going with the brother Cypress TV. Shout out to him. Cypress TV. I got a bet going, and I feel like the Thunder are not only gonna win it, they're gonna get that record. They're gonna get the record, and on top of that, Shea gonna get the MVP. He gonna get the regular. He gonna get the Finals MVP, and on top of that, to put the icing on the cake, they're gonna get the ring. Thunder just be playing back. Exactly. That is facts, Angelo Bell. That's facts. You said it right there. 100% Angelo Bell, man. They just play basketball. They not worried about all this other stuff. Look, they not worried about the drama. You know what I'm saying? They had a little bit of drama, but you see, they stopped talking about it. The only drama that they done had is somebody trying to break into SGA's home. Other than that, they play basketball. They don't have all this other stuff going, and guess what? They quietly winning. I honestly like it. Hey, just keep on not talking about me. Let me stay up under the radar. Let me creep. Let me crawl. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you know, damn, the Thunder are here again. Why are you surprised? You know what I'm saying, Angela Bell? You know what I'm saying, Brown Sugar? Like, why are you surprised? Why are you surprised that we here? We've been taking care of business. They taking care of business just like Chicago Bulls used to do. They taking care of business just like the Boston Celtics used to do back in the day. They taking care of business just like the Bad Boy Pistons used to do. They taking care of business just like the Spurs used to do back in the day. They taking care of business just like the Houston Rockets used to do. They taking care of business just like the Lakers used to do, the Showtime Lakers, the Kobe and Shaq era. How they used to do. They taking care of business like they supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? And they quietly getting it done. Now I wasn't going to talk about the Thunder, but since we own them, yes, these guys are amazing to watch. And they, what gets me too. They play a beautiful style of basketball that don't nobody appreciate. They move the ball. They play both ends of the floor. They got no egos. They got scrappy young guys that love to play. You know what I'm saying? They got a whole bunch of glue guys on there. You know what I'm saying? That can shoot, that can defend, that are athletic. You know what I'm saying? That can run. You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, you know what I'm saying? They're high IQ guys too as well. You understand what I mean? Like these guys right here can really play. Give me an Alex Caruso who has a championship experience already. You know what I'm saying? Those are the guys that you want. So, like I said, um, you got to watch out. If you don't pay attention to SGA, watch he gonna sneak up and he gonna get you again. The way that they're blowing teams out, I think they're averaging their average um, margin of winning is like 16 or something like that. Like Shea don't even need to play in the fourth quarter. He don't need to play in the fourth quarter. Like this guy will have 37. I think he played in the fourth quarter with Ant. That was about it so far. You know what I'm saying? I think he also he played in the fourth quarter when he was with Houston too. Just a few games. Other than that, he'll be in the third quarter getting his rest. You know what I'm saying? Third quarter getting his rest, sitting down. So shout out to the Thunder. Um, Next thing I'm gonna talk about is the Dallas Mavericks, man. The Dallas Mavericks have won a couple of games, and AD and Cooper Flag are balling. Now, I'm not expecting Dallas to go to no championship or none of that stuff. I'm not saying that they're gonna go to the championship. Hell, I don't even think Dallas is. I think they'll make the play in, maybe the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? But we'll have to see. But the Dallas Mavericks, they were close to the bottom or at the bottom at one point. Now they're slowly creeping up. I think they're 11th right now, if I'm not mistaken. 11th or 12th right now. I think they're 12th, if I'm not mistaken. They're 7-13. These guys are starting to crawl, man, and they creeping right now. They beat Denver last night, 131 to 127, and okay, Jokic, he had an edge in terms of some of the stats and stuff like that. But what we also got to realize is that AD has always given the business to Joker. Now, don't get me wrong, Joker phenomenal. You know what I'm saying when he plays now stuff. But they did get the most important thing is that they got the win. And Cooper Flag has been balling. Took a little time. Didn't have a great rookie. Uh, first game and everything like that. But I think it was because partly him playing out of position and stuff like that. But I think that they done got that situation straight. Now they got Nimbard as a point guard. You know what I'm saying? Nimbard is that's the brother of the other Nimbard with the Pacers. And I talked about him in summer league, man. I talked about him in summer league, and I also talked about him in the preseason. These guys, man, they got a little something brewing. I think Jason Kidd has a little something brewing. All of the narratives that were floating around there, about AD getting ready to be traded and Jason Kidd and stuff like that. I think that's kind of died down. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of guilty of, you know, one of the narratives. Now I did think that they were gonna shop for AD, but Mark Cuban and bluntly said that they're not getting rid of AD. So, um, shout out to the Mavs, man. Let's see what else they can do. I don't think that Kyrie should rush to come back. I mean, and I don't think when Kyrie comes back, I don't think that he's gonna be Kyrie right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, you could play pickup games and you could do all this other stuff and work out, but until you get into a real actual game, that's that's where we're gonna know. Okay, yay or nay, you're ready to to keep on going. But I think right now he should just get his rest. I mean, typically whenever you tear your ACL, it's typically 9 to 12 months um, as far as recovery. So yeah, that basically was it. That sums up everything that I was getting ready that I had to cook on tonight. Like I said though, like I said, Zion he got to go. Embiid, they're better without you. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't need. I would rather have guys that are gonna show up every night and they're losing than to have a guy that show up every now and then, get everybody's hopes up, and then lose. I mean, where they do that at? But that's neither here nor there. I appreciate everybody pulling up. Make sure y'all like the video. Make sure you share it, subscribe, hit them notifications as well. Straight to the point. Shout out to the whole entire LDBC basketball and boxing. Until then, I'm out.